When people think of Granada, one word comes to mind: Alhambra. And yes, it is every bit as magical as you've heard. But here's the thing, Granada is so much more than a single monument. If you only come for the Alhambra, you are missing the full experience. This video takes you through famous sites to places you've probably never heard of. We'll explore in detail Granada's must-see attractions. We'll discuss flamenco in the city. We will talk about a few combined tickets that will help you save money. We'll show you how long to stay in Granada and when to visit the city. We'll see how to get to Granada and how to move around. And we will finish with two topics that will have their own video in the channel: food and drink and accommodation in Granada. Let's dive in. Hola, ¿qué tal? Hello and welcome to the channel where we want you to be happier traveling through the Iberian Peninsula with the help of our self-guided walking tours. Let's have a look at the map to have a basic idea of where things are in Granada. Many of the places you should know in the city are found in three areas: the historic center, the flat part of the city, the hill where the Alhambra stands, and the hill where you will find the Albaicín neighborhood. Let's get started with the list of must-see places in alphabetical order. Our first stop is also one of the most remote on this list. To reach it, you'll follow the scenic Darro River as it winds out of central Granada into the Sacromonte district and beyond. Perched on a hill with sweeping views, the Sacromonte Abbey is a 17th century complex that today houses a parish church, a museum, a seminary, and a residence for canons. The small museum, opened in 2010, showcases religious art from the 16th and 17th centuries, created by artists who once lived and worked in the city. Inside the Abbey Church, you will find artistic treasures like finely carved wooden ceilings, a striking altarpiece in the main chapel, and a revered sculpture of the Virgin of Sacromonte. The highlight for many is the Santas Cuevas, or Holy Caves, chapels carved into the rock where relics of early Christian martyrs are venerated. Visiting them is part of the tour and offers a unique insight into the religious traditions of Granada. Getting to the Abbey takes a bit of planning. The C34 minibus from Plaza Nueva will drop you nearby. Just be sure to ask the driver where to get off, as the bus doesn't go all the way to the door. The Abbey is open daily with different hours in summer and winter. Check the official website for current times. Admission is paid. The Abadia is part of the Granada Cristiana combined ticket, which we will talk about later in the video. It offers a small discount for visiting several Christian heritage sites. In the first comment below the video, you will find links to all the attractions we mentioned. The ticket includes an online audio guide in multiple languages, including English. We recommend the Abadía del Sacromonte for those spending quite a few days in Granada and eager to explore every corner of the city. Even if you decide not to go inside, the walk up offers beautiful views of the Alhambra from an unusual perspective. Next, we're heading back in time and into the heart of Granada, to a place that no visitor should leave without seeing. The Albaicín, which you will see spelled in different ways, is one of the oldest parts of Granada. It was the city's original Arab quarter and still feels completely different from any other neighborhood. Back in the days of Muslim rule, the Albaicín was home to around 40,000 people and 30 mosques. After the Catholic monarchs conquered Granada, the city's Muslim population was relocated here. Later, with the expulsion of the Arabs from Spain, the mosques were converted into churches. In 1994, the neighborhood was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognized for its rich blend of Moorish architecture and traditional Andalusian houses. The Albaicín still preserves the urban layout of the Nasrid period. We're going to mention the term Nazarit, Nazarí in Spanish, many times during the video as it was the final Muslim dynasty to rule Granada. It is a maze of steep, narrow streets that wind their way down toward the Darro River. As you explore, expect to be constantly going uphill or downhill, discovering hidden corners and charming viewpoints along the way. One unique feature of the neighborhood is its historic water system, made up of aljibes, ancient cisterns that collected and stored water. Remarkably, many of them are still in use today. Later in the video, we'll cover several of the Albaicín's main highlights in more detail. But for now, let's take a quick look at some spots that are definitely worth your time. We start with the Carrera del Darro, a picturesque street that follows the river as it slowly climbs through the lower part of the neighborhood, right at the foot of the Alhambra. Nearby the river are the remains of the Maristan, Granada's first hospital during the Muslim era and later the city's mint. Entry is paid, and while there isn't much left of the structure, the site includes informative panels that explain its historical role. Next door, the Casa de Zafra houses the Albaicín Interpretation Center. If you like to dive deeper into the history and culture of the neighborhood, it's worth the entrance fee. Further up the Carrera del Darro, the street widens and becomes the Paseo de los Tristes, one of the most scenic spots in the city, framed by the Alhambra looming above. Just off the Paseo, you will find the Palacio de los Córdoba, a Renaissance-era building that now houses Granada's historical archives. It is a popular venue for weddings, and the gardens and interior are open to the public free of charge. As you continue wandering the Albaicín, you might pass through the Arco de las Pesas, a defensive gateway that once connected the Albaicín to the old Alcazaba Kadima. Its elbow-shaped passage is typical of Muslim military architecture, designed to slow down attackers and aid defense. At the edge of the neighborhood, closest to the city center, stands the church of San Miguel Bajo. Just a few steps away is the Mirador de la Lona, offering a lesser-known but lovely view over central Granada. The Albaicín is a must-see, and you could easily spend an entire day exploring its streets. And don't worry, we'll be showing you much more of this iconic neighborhood later in the video. But for now, let's head into the city center and do a bit of shopping. The Alcaicería of Granada is a small area in the city center that once formed part of the old Arab souk, where silk and luxury goods were traded. Located just a few steps from the cathedral and Bib Rambla Square, this narrow maze of streets is now lined with souvenir shops and stores selling traditional crafts, though many items today are mass-produced imports. The Alcaicería was founded in the 14th century, near Granada's Great Mosque, in a prime location for trade. It was once protected by 9 gates that were closed at night, turning the market into a secure commercial enclave. In addition to silk, merchants sold silver, clothing, and other fine goods. But by the 18th century, as silk production declined, the market gradually lost its former importance. While many of the products sold now are geared towards tourists, the arches and facades still showcase distinct elements of Moorish design, giving you a small taste of the city's Islamic past. Access is free, and since it's right in the heart of the city, chances are you'll walk through it at some point during your visit. And now it's time to visit the monument that draws millions of people to Granada every year. The magnificent Alhambra is such a special place that it deserves, and will get, its own video here on the channel. We are already working on a dedicated guide that will cover everything you need to know to make the most of your visit, from how to get to the Alhambra to understanding the different parts that form the monument, to tickets and timings and what to see inside. As soon as it's ready, you'll find the link in the first comment below this video. Just give us a little over a month. We now move to another site that also bears witness to Granada's Muslim past. It is a small place, often overlooked, but quite beautiful. Tucked away inside a discreet building on Carrera del Darro in the lower Albaicín, you will find El Bañuelo, the remarkably well-preserved remains of an 11th century hammam, or public bath. Built during the rule of the Cidi dynasty, it is one of the oldest surviving monuments from Muslim Granada. At its peak, Granada had 21 public baths scattered throughout the city. El Bañuelo is a rare survivor, spared from the widespread destruction of Islamic cultural heritage that followed the Catholic monarch's conquest of the city. Incredibly, the baths remained in use for decades after the conquest and were only shut down in the late 16th century by King Philip II, who deemed them immoral places of sin. Declared a national monument in 1918, El Bañuelo is considered the best preserved Arab bathhouse in Spain. Its rooms are covered by brick vaults, pierced with star-shaped skylights, which create beautiful patterns of light and shadow, giving visitors a glimpse into the peaceful ambience these spaces once offered. You will find El Bañuelo just a 5-minute walk from Plaza Nueva, right along the River Darro, where the Albaicín meets the historic center. It's open daily with seasonal opening hours, so it's best to check ahead. To visit, you will need a combined ticket that also grants access to other monuments. We'll explain how that works later in the video. On Sundays, the visit is free. This is a quick stop, but one we highly recommend if you are exploring the Albaicín. And now we're heading to a very different kind of monument, a Catholic temple that may not be famous among tourists, but holds deep importance for the people of Granada. Yes, from Muslim Granada, we now step into Christian Granada to visit a place deeply cherished by the people of the city, the Basílica de Nuestra Señora de las Angustias, where Granada's patron saint is venerated. The basilica traces its roots back to a small 16th century chapel, but the structure we see today was completed in 1671. Its Baroque facade, flanked by 2 square towers, gives the building a stately presence. On the right side, you will find a small rectangular courtyard, a peaceful spot that leads you into the sacristy and from there into the main space of the church. It's worth entering through here for a quieter, more atmospheric arrival. Inside, the basilica has a single nave with 4 side chapels on each side, all richly decorated. The interior is elegant, warm and reverent. At the heart of the church, on the main altar, stands the image of the Virgin of las Angustias, the spiritual symbol of the city. Every year, on September 15th, Granada honors her with an emotional procession and floral offering, a moment of deep local devotion. You will find the basilica in the Realejo neighborhood, just south of the city center. It is easy to reach on foot or by bus lines 4 or 33. Entry is free and the basilica is open on weekdays, with changing hours depending on the season. We recommend the visit for anyone with a bit more time in Granada, especially those who enjoy exploring places with strong local identity and spiritual significance, and who appreciate quiet corners of exceptional beauty. And now we jump from basilica to basilica to an equally relevant space for the locals. The Hospitaller Order of St. John of God, San Juan de Dios in Spanish, founded in Granada, commissioned the construction of a church to house the remains of its founder, St. John of God. Work began in 1737 and was completed in 1759. The result is one of the most remarkable Baroque churches in Spain. Its elegant facade, flanked by 2 towers, sets the tone for the visit. The tour begins in the sacristy and leads into the spectacular interior of the basilica. The vaults and dome, richly painted with biblical scenes in oil, crown a space that overwhelms with beauty. With a single nave and side chapels, the entire church is bathed in gold, from the walls and columns to the altars, creating an atmosphere of grandeur and devotion. Behind the main altar, an arch opens into the Camarín, a small chapel that holds the relics of the saint. Covered in shimmering gold, the camarin makes a lasting impression. The remains of St. John of God rest in an ornate silver urn. For an added experience, visitors can use virtual reality glasses to explore the Basilica from a unique perspective. The Basilica of St. John of God is located in the city center, just a 10-minute walk from the cathedral. It's open every day of the week and admission is paid. Whether you are an art enthusiast or someone with a personal devotion to the saint, this dazzling Baroque gem is well worth a visit. And now we're switching gears from sacred silence to something much more aromatic. It is time for a cup of tea in the Albaicín. Time to change the mood. We're back in the Albaicín and this time it smells like mint and cinnamon. Welcome to the Calle de las Teterías, Granada's famous street of the tea houses. The real name of the street is Calle Calderería Nueva, a nod to its past when metal workers and cauldron repairers, the caldereros, filled the area with the sounds of hammers and trade. Today it's all about Moroccan lamps, colorful fabrics and steaming cup of teas. This lively narrow street is one of the most touristy in Granada and for good reason. Its old buildings still preserve traditional architectural features. As you walk up or down, depending on your direction, you'll pass shops selling clothes, crafts, and home decor imported from Morocco. The vibe is a little bit souk, a little bit boho bazaar. And of course, you'll see teterías, tea houses, lots of them. Most are similar with richly decorated interiors, soft lighting, and long menus of herbal and spiced teas. We usually stop by Tetería Alfaguara, named after a nearby mountain range. The outside could use a touch of TLC, but step inside and you are surrounded by warm colors and intricate patterns. A great place to take a breather. That said, go with your instinct and pick the one that catches your eye. Calle de las Teterías is also one of the main pedestrian routes between the Albaicín and the city center, so chances are, whether you're looking for tea or not, you'll end up here at some point. Next up, we're switching from tea to tombs, and the final resting place of the Catholic monarchs themselves. The Capilla Real, the Royal Chapel of Granada, stands as one of Spain's most significant funerary monuments, the final resting place of the Catholic monarchs Isabel I of Castile and Fernando II of Aragon. In 1504, the monarchs commissioned the chapel to house their remains, though both died before its completion. Their bodies stayed at the Alhambra until their grandson, Emperor Charles V, ordered their transfer to the newly finished chapel in 1521. The chapel's exterior portal is a striking example of the Plateresque style, a richly decorative form of late Gothic architecture. Inside Granada Cathedral, you can find the main entrance to the Capilla Real, although it is currently not in use. The design closely followed Queen Isabella's wishes expressed in her will. Built in the late Gothic style known in Spain as Isabelino or Plateresco, the chapel combines elegance with solemnity. Inside, a magnificent mausoleum carved from Carrara marble in Genoa holds the monarchs. Adjacent to them lie the tombs of their daughter, Juana I, famously known as Juana la Loca, Joanna the Mad, and her husband Felipe I, known as Felipe el Hermoso, Philip the Handsome. Alongside these royal figures rests infant Miguel de la Paz de Portugal, their grandson who died in childhood. Access to the chapel is through the Lonja de Mercaderes, the building attached to it. It's open every day with paid admission. The ticket includes an online audio guide in multiple languages, including English. The Capilla Real is part of the Granada Cristiana combined ticket, which we will explain later in the video. Unlike every other monument in Granada, photography and video are strictly prohibited inside the chapel. While we don't fully understand this policy, we respect it. The images we've shown you come from official publicity materials. For those interested in Spanish history, the Capilla Real is an essential visit. Next, we leave behind the chapel's quiet grandeur to enjoy the fresh beauty of Granada's open-air gardens. Not far from the Alhambra's mighty walls, on the very same hill, you will find one of Granada's best-kept secrets, the Carmen de los Mártires. The name might be misleading. In Granada, a Carmen usually refers to a traditional house with an adjoining garden and vegetable patch. But this Carmen is much grander. Spread over 6 hectares, it offers a unique combination of historic gardens, panoramic views, and a quiet elegance that contrasts beautifully with the bustle of the Alhambra nearby. The origins of the place are heavy with history. During the final years of Muslim rule, this was where Christian prisoners were held, a field of dungeons and suffering. After the conquest, it became known as the Campo de los Mártires or Field of the Martyrs. The current palace and gardens date back to the 19th century, and the spot has since transformed into a serene space for contemplation, poetry, and beauty. The palace is used only for cultural events and official receptions, and it is a favorite for wedding celebrations, thanks to its dreamlike setting. But it is the gardens that truly captivate. A French Baroque garden with a pond, a Spanish garden, an English garden, a palm garden, a romantic garden, and a Nasrid-style patio built in the 20th century, echoing the essence of Muslim garden design. As you wander, you'll come across the Route of the Poets, featuring verses from iconic writers like San Juan de la Cruz and Federico García Lorca, both deeply connected to Granada. To get to the gardens, take bus lines C30 or C32 toward the Alhambra and get off at the Auditorio Manuel de Falla stop. The gardens are open daily, but hours change depending on the time of the year. Entrance is free. If you're drawn to quiet open-air spaces with sweeping views over Granada, the Carmen de los Mártires is an unforgettable stop and the perfect complement to a visit to the Alhambra. And now, from one must-see to another, we continue our journey through Granada's most extraordinary places. Don't let the modest exterior fool you. Behind its quiet facade, the Cartuja de Granada, also known as the Monasterio de Nuestra Señora de la Asunción, hides one of Spain's most astonishing Baroque treasures. Construction began in 1516, and although it spanned 3 centuries, the monastery was never fully completed. The cloister, for example, was demolished in the 19th century. Still, what remains has earned protected status as a listed monument, and rightfully so. Your visit begins with a patio, its floor decorated with Granada-style stonework, leading into the heart of the monastery. Once inside, you'll find a cloister and a sequence of spaces that slowly build up to the climax of the visit. The refectory, where the monks once took their meals, has a sober rectangular layout. The chapter hall, the monastery's oldest section, offers a glimpse into the earliest stages of its construction. Then comes the church, and prepare yourself because it is breathtaking. A single nave divided into 4 distinct sections reveals a display of paintings, sculptures, altarpieces, and gilded woodwork so intricate and richly decorated that it feels overwhelming in the best possible way. Just behind the opulent main altarpiece, you will find a stunning tabernacle, topped by a fresco-covered dome that seems to lift the space into another dimension. And yet, the true showstopper is still to come. The sacristy of the Cartuja is its crowning jewel. Whether or not it deserves the title of most beautiful sacristy in the world is up for debate, but after standing inside it, you may find it hard to disagree. It is a temple within a temple, where every surface, marble, carved wood, frescoes, stucco, is artfully composed. The rhomboid patterned floor, the dramatic volumes, the play of light and shadow, everything contributes to an immersive experience of spiritual and artistic grandeur. It's one of those places that doesn't just impress, it moves you. The Cartuja is located in the city center. It stands near the main campus of the University of Granada and can be reached easily via bus line 8. It's open daily with paid admission, and your ticket includes an online audio guide available in English. It is also one of the monuments included in the Granada Cristiana combined ticket. The Cartuja may not always make it into the mainstream travel lists, but we are here to change that. It is an essential stop for anyone with an appreciation for architecture, art, or just jaw-dropping beauty. Do not miss it. Next, we return to the Albaicín to explore two buildings that perfectly embody the fusion of Muslim and Christian traditions in Granada. Tucked into the hillside of the Albaicín lies a remarkable piece of Granada's layered past, the Casa del Chapiz. In reality, this is a pair of 14th century Moorish houses that once belonged to two Muslims from Granada who converted to Christianity after the Reconquest. These converts were known as Moriscos. But history took a harsh turn. Following a revolt in 1571, both men were accused of participating in the uprising and their properties were confiscated by the crown. The houses then passed through centuries of neglect. By the early 20th century, they stood abandoned, echoes of a bygone era slowly crumbling. Fortunately, in 1919, the site was declared a national monument, and soon after the Spanish government undertook restoration works. Since 1932, the complex has served as the headquarters of the School of Arab Studies. While the history is compelling, what truly enchants most visitors today are the gardens. Found at the back of the house, these quiet, intimate spaces offer splendid views of the Alhambra, framed by lush greenery and Moorish arches. It is a place where time seems to slow down, inviting reflection. Located in the Albaicín, the C31, 32 and 32 buses will drop you off just outside. The Casa del Chapiz is open daily with paid admission, except on Sundays when entry is free. We recommend visiting the Casa del Chapiz, especially if you are spending more than a couple of days in Granada. It may not be one of the top-tier must-sees, but for those interested in the Moorish legacy, it is a beautiful and meaningful stop. Next, we will visit another house belonging to Moriscos. Tucked away in the quiet Axares quarter of the Albaicín, whose name means of good health due to the area's favorable climate, stands the Casa Horno de Oro, another fine example of a Moorish house that blends two architectural worlds. Built in the late 15th century and modified in the 16th with the addition of a second floor, this house reflects the delicate transition from Islamic to Christian Granada. Like many traditional homes of the Albaicín, it presents a humble facade, almost as if trying to conceal the harmony and beauty found within. At its heart lies a rectangular patio, a hallmark of local architecture. Slender arches inspired by Nasrid architecture surround the patio and support a gallery, an addition from the Christian period. The house is modest in scale, but it offers a brief, intimate glimpse into how Islamic and Castilian architectural traditions coexisted during this fascinating period of Granada's history. You will find the Casa Horno de Oro near the Paseo de los Tristes, a lovely 10-minute walk along the Darro River, or you can hop on buses C31, 32 or 34 for a quick ride. It's open every day, though times change during the year. Entry is included in a combined ticket that also grants access to other monuments. We'll explain more about that later. On Sundays, admission is free. If you are spending a day exploring the Albaicín, this is a short and rewarding stop, a place that whispers stories of Granada's past through its arches and quiet courtyard. Next, we return to the heart of Christian Granada to visit one of the city's most significant Catholic temples. The most commanding presence in Granada's historic center is its cathedral, an extraordinary temple dedicated to the Virgin of the Incarnation and one of the most important Renaissance monuments in Spain. After the conquest of the city, Queen Isabella ordered a new cathedral to be built in 1505, right on top of what had been the Great Mosque of Granada. Construction officially began in 1523 under the direction of Enrique Egas, a master of the Gothic tradition. But when Egas died just 5 years later, the project passed to Diego de Siloé, a Spanish architect who had trained in Italy and was well versed in the language of the Renaissance. Siloé managed something truly remarkable. He adapted the existing Gothic layout into a Renaissance vision. Its main facade, designed by Alonso Cano, is one of its most recognizable elements, monumental and elegant. Originally, the project called for 2 towers, but only one was ever completed due to lack of funds and the death of Cano. Inside, the cathedral reveals its grandeur. 5 spacious naves, impressive height, and several side chapels housing artworks from different eras. The deambulatory, the circular nave that wraps around the high altar, is especially striking for its size and openness. Granada Cathedral is centrally located and easy to reach on foot. It's open every day, admission is paid, and it includes an online audio guide in English. It is also part of the Granada Cristiana combined ticket. If you are spending several days in Granada and want to discover its most important religious monuments, the cathedral is certainly worth a visit. That said, if you have to choose, we would recommend visiting La Cartuja first. Its impact is simply unforgettable. And since we are right here in the heart of the historic center, let's stick around for a few minutes and explore a bit more of what this part of Granada has to offer. If the Alhambra and the Albaicín offer panoramic views over Granada, the city center unfolds on flatter ground, a blend of traditional neighborhoods, bustling commercial life, and hidden corners worth exploring. It is here that you will find Granada's main shopping streets, some of its most iconic squares, and several historical buildings that tell the story of a city shaped by many layers of history. We start at Plaza del Carmen, home to the City Hall of Granada. This elegant building dominates the square, and its ground floor hosts the main tourist information office, a useful stop for picking up maps. A short walk away is Plaza Isabel Católica, located at the intersection of 2 of Granada's most important streets. At its center stands a striking monument, Queen Isabella of Castile and Christopher Columbus, shown sealing the deal for his voyage across the Atlantic. At the heart of the old city lies Plaza de Bib Rambla, one of Granada's most emblematic squares. The name recalls its Islamic past, inherited from one of the original city gates. Under Arab rule, this square hosted festivals. After the conquest, it became the setting for bullfights and even Inquisition book burnings. Today, the atmosphere is much lighter. You will find flower stalls, outdoor cafes, and in December, Granada's Christmas market. Nearby is the Mercado de San Agustín. It sits on the former site of a convent and has gone through several transformations over the years. The current market is a great place to explore local food stalls, tapas bars, and fresh produce, ideal for tasting the flavors of Granada. On the edge of the historic center, where it meets the Albaicín, is Plaza Nueva, the new square. After the Catholic monarchs took the city, they introduced new urban models inspired by Castilian towns. Plaza Nueva was born out of this shift, with new administrative buildings that reflected the power of the new rulers. The most important of these is the Real Chancillería, a grand palace that served as the court of justice for all the southern territories of the Spanish crown. Built on the ruins of former houses, the Chancery gave the square its imposing presence. Take your time exploring the city center. It may not have the dramatic views of the Alhambra, but its mix of history, architecture, and local life makes it one of Granada's most rewarding areas. We'll continue our walk through the center with a visit to a site that adds yet another layer to Granada's history. A monumental arched doorway leads us into the Alfundac al-Jadida, the new Alhóndiga, later renamed Corral del Carbón after the Catholic monarchs took over Granada. Originally built in the 14th century, this Alhóndiga served as a warehouse and lodging for merchants. It was used to store and trade wheat, making it an important commercial hub in the heart of the city. The building's entrance, its most recognizable feature, is a large horseshoe arch. The inner courtyard has 3 levels that once housed the different rooms of the Alhóndiga. In the center, there's a small fountain, said in local legend to be fed by Granada's 2 main rivers, the Darro and the Genil. The Corral del Carbón is just a short walk from the cathedral. It's open daily, admission is free, and the visit is quick, a perfect cultural stop in the city center. Now, let's head over to the nearby Realejo neighborhood to explore a lesser-known jewel from Granada's Muslim past. The Cuarto Real de Santo Domingo was once a splendid Muslim palace built during the reign of Muhammad II of the Nasrid dynasty. What makes it especially interesting is that it predates the Alhambra, meaning some of the architectural and decorative ideas later perfected in the Alhambra were first tested here. Today, only a tower remains from the original structure. Inside is the Kuba, a beautifully decorated reception hall that once formed the core of the palace public area. After the conquest of Granada, the site was handed over to Dominican monks who established a convent on the grounds while preserving part of the Muslim building. In the late 19th century, most of the palace was demolished, leaving just the Kuba intact. In addition to this elegant hall, the Cuarto Real also features archaeological remains of the original structure and a small garden that helps evoke its former grandeur. You can reach the Cuarto Real easily on foot from the city center. It's open from Tuesday to Sunday and there's a small entrance fee. If you've already visited the Alhambra, don't expect a major revelation here. The architecture is refined and beautiful, but not fundamentally different. So whether to include it in your itinerary depends on how deep you want to go into Granada's Islamic heritage. Up next, we'll focus on something that lies at the very heart of Granada's identity. Water lies at the heart of Granada's identity, woven into its geography, its heritage, and its everyday life like in few other places. More than just a practical necessity, water is also a central aesthetic element, a legacy of the city's Islamic past that still resonates today in the countless fountains that grace its gardens, squares, and courtyards. It was the Siri dynasty, originally from North Africa, who made the decisive move in 1013 to channel water from the nearby mountains into the city. Without that ambitious engineering feat, Granada as we know it might never have existed. Earlier in the video, when we visited the Albaicín, we saw how an ingenious network of cisterns was developed to supply the district's residents, a silent testimony to this enduring relationship with water. But beyond its utility, water in Granada is a thing of beauty and symbolism. From the quiet trickle of fountains in the Generalife gardens to contemporary monuments unveiled in the 21st century that pay homage to this ancient tradition. Take a moment to appreciate how this elemental connection with water continues to shape Granada's soul, and perhaps let it shape your experience of the city as well. Next, we climb the hill next to the Alhambra near the Torres Bermejas, but this time to step into the 20th century and discover one of Granada's most overlooked architectural gems. Nestled into the hillside by the Alhambra, the Fundación Rodríguez Acosta is one of Granada's most surprising and evocative treasures, a place where art, architecture and landscape blend into a singular experience. The foundation is housed in the former residence and studio of José María Rodríguez Acosta, a local painter from a prominent banking family. Between 1916 and 1930, with the technical help of several architects, the artist brought to life his personal vision, a space where modernity meets classical inspiration, all crafted with meticulous attention to materials and detail. The result is a monumental Carmen. Carmen, we know, is a uniquely Granadan type of house with gardens, designed as a scenographic journey throughout the painter's aesthetic and intellectual world. Terraced gardens, intimate courtyards, reflective pools, and sculptural elements unfold along the slope of the hill, creating a sense of theatrical beauty and contemplative calm. The main building, conceived as an artistic sanctuary, shows a restrained formalism interwoven with historic references. The guided visit will take you through an extraordinary sequence of interior and exterior spaces. You will find the foundation just a short walk from the Alhambra. Alternatively, take buses C30 or C32 and get off at the Auditorio Manuel de Falla stop. The foundation is open daily and entry is by guided tour only, available at various times throughout the day. Entry is ticketed, through free tours are offered on Fridays and Sundays. Advance booking for the free tours is recommended. If you're drawn to beauty in all its forms, the Fundación will not disappoint. It offers a thoughtful counterpoint to Granada's Islamic heritage, a personal and poetic space born from a very different creative impulse. Next, we visit a historic building that many travelers overlook during their time in Granada. The Hospital Real, or Royal Hospital, was founded in 1504 by the Catholic monarchs as a charitable institution to care for the poor and for the pilgrims. Its construction began with Gothic plans by Enrique Egas, but was later completed under Emperor Charles V in Renaissance style. The striking facade was only added in the first half of the 17th century. The hospital began receiving patients in 1525 and remained operational for many decades. The building follows a Greek cross-floor plan centered around 4 courtyards, an architectural layout considered cutting-edge for hospital design at the time. Today, the hospital houses the Rectorate of the University of Granada and several university departments. Although only 2 of the original 4 patios were fully completed, all of them are worth seeing. On the second floor, you will find the university's central library, which is open to visitors. Don't forget to bring an official ID to gain access to the library. If you are a lover of libraries, you are in for a real treat. This one is especially beautiful. The hospital is located in central Granada, about a 15-minute walk from the cathedral. It's open Monday through Friday and entrance is free. After you go in, turn left and pass through the security checkpoint to begin your visit. A beautiful building, remarkable architecture, and a stunning library, all for free. It is one of Granada's hidden gems you should not miss. And next, we return to the Albaicín to explore a small but meaningful museum. Set along the evocative Carrera del Darro in the heart of the Albaicín stands the Arqueológico and Ethnological Museum of Granada, one of the earliest institutions of its kind in Spain. The museum is housed in the Casa de Castril, a 16th century noble residence with a striking plateresque facade, blending late Gothic intricacy with early Renaissance elegance. Inside, the layout reflects the typical design of post-Reconquest Christian homes in Granada. The museum's collection, thoughtfully distributed across 7 rooms, offers a chronological journey through the region's long and complex history, from prehistoric tools and Iberian ceramics to Roman artifacts, Islamic art, and up to the Christian conquest. It is a small museum, easily explored in under an hour, and best suited to those with an interest in archaeology or historical narratives. Its location, less than 10-minute walk from the city center, makes it a convenient stop, especially if you are strolling through the Albaicín and have time to linger. The museum is open Tuesday through Sunday. Entry is free for European Union citizens, with a modest fee for visitors from outside the European Union. From here, we step away from Granada's traditional landmarks and into a world that will captivate lovers of architecture and bold design. The Museo Memoria de Andalucía forms part of the cultural complex created by the local financial institution Caja Granada. Its appeal lies in two key aspects: a bold architectural design and a museum experience dedicated to exploring the richness of Andalusian identity. Designed by architect Alberto Campo Baeza and constructed between 2006 and 2009, the building is both monumental and minimalist, a fitting vessel for a space devoted to preserving collective memory. One of its most emblematic features is the enormous vertical wall, a symbolic threshold separating past from present. The wall also plays a visual role in Granada's skyline, an austere, assertive plane that commands attention. To counterbalance this imposing presence, Campo Baeza incorporated an oval courtyard flooded with light, inspired by the Renaissance circular patio of Charles V's palace in the Alhambra. Free of edges, the oval form evokes serenity and openness, a minimalist reimagining of the Andalusian patio tradition. Inside, the museum presents 4 themed galleries, focused on the region's landscapes, settlements, ways of life, and art and culture. Through interactive exhibits in both Spanish and English, visitors gain insight into the deep historical and cultural currents that shape Andalusia today. The admission fee also grants access to the Caja Granada art collection housed in the same complex. Located just south of the city center, the museum is accessible by Bus 21. Opening hours change according to the time of the year, and the museum is closed during the month of August, so it's best to check in advance. If you are traveling with kids, Granada's Science Park, the Parque de las Ciencias, which we don't feature in this video, is just next door and makes for a great complimentary visit. Next, we head back into the heart of Muslim Granada to explore a lesser-known palace with a fascinating past. The Palace of Dar al-Horra, literally the House of the Lady, takes its name from Aisha, the mother of Boabdil, the last Muslim ruler of Granada. As the Queen Mother, she resided here during the final years of the Nasrid dynasty. The building is a fine example of late Spanish Muslim residential architecture. After the conquest of Granada, the Catholic monarchs granted the palace to Hernando de Zafra, one of their key allies, along with other former Muslim properties. Not long after, Queen Isabella reclaimed the palace to establish the monastery of Santa Isabel la Real on part of the site. Fortunately, the residential wing of the palace was preserved, allowing us today to explore a largely intact structure. Spread across 2 levels, the building retains many of its original features. From the upper floor, visitors are treated to beautiful views of the Albaicín and the old city wall. The palace is located near San Miguel Bajo Church, but the entrance isn't well marked. To reach it, follow Callejón del Gallo, turning right and then left until you come to the palace door. You can get there on bus lines C31 or 32, getting off at the San Miguel Bajo stop. The palace is open daily, with seasonal variations in opening hours. To visit, you'll need a combined ticket that includes access to 3 other historic sites. Admission is free on Sundays. We recommend the Palacio de Dar al-Horra to anyone wandering throughout the Albaicín who wants to connect with the city's Nasrid heritage in a quiet, contemplative setting. Now we return to the city center to explore one of the last remnants of Muslim Granada still standing in the area. The Palacio de la Madraza is a building with a fascinating and layered history. Originally founded in the 14th century, it was the seat of Granada's first university during the Nasrid period. Following the Christian conquest in 1492, the Catholic monarchs initially permitted the madrasa to continue operating. But this policy of religious tolerance was short-lived. By 1499, the institution was shut down amidst growing repression of the Muslim population. The building was soon repurposed as Granada City Hall. What we see today is largely the result of an 18th century reconstruction, which nonetheless preserved the original 14th century Nasrid oratory, an architectural gem of the period. The building served as city hall until the 19th century. Today, the Palacio de la Madraza belongs to the University of Granada. Visitors can explore parts of the palace for free. Highlights include the Salón de Caballeros, the Knights' Hall, once the noble hall of the town hall, with its magnificent mudéjar ceiling, a style created by Muslim artisans who remained in Spain after the Reconquest. You will be able to go to the entrance of the oratory, but if you want to see it inside with its incredible decoration, you will need to join a single daily guided visit, limited to 8 people and requiring in-person booking. Located right next to the cathedral, the Palacio de la Madraza is hard to miss. It opens from Monday to Saturday and admission is free, so we strongly recommend stepping inside when you pass by. And now let's head to a beautiful monastery in the center of Granada. After the conquest of Granada, the Catholic monarchs decided to found a monastery for the order of San Jerome, San Jerónimo. They chose a site outside the city walls and construction began in 1505. The monks moved in by 1521, remaining there until the 19th century. After a long absence, the order returned in the 1960s and the monastery is now home to a community of Jeronimas, nuns of the same order. The visit includes access to the monastery's Gothic main cloister, where the monks spent much of their daily lives, as well as surrounding rooms, the sacristy and the church. The cloister connects to the Claustro de la Emperatriz, the Empress Cloister, which can only be viewed from the outside. This second cloister takes its name from Isabel of Portugal, wife of Emperor Charles V, who stayed there during her time in Granada. The church, dedicated to the Immaculate Conception, is a masterpiece in itself. Built in the late Gothic style with a Renaissance main chapel, its single nave and side chapels are richly decorated. In the 18th century, the monks adorned the ceilings and walls with mural paintings. Among the many artworks within the church, one of the most significant is the Pantheon of Gonzalo Fernández de Córdoba, known as El Gran Capitán, the Great Captain, a celebrated military commander instrumental in the Catholic monarch's conquest of Granada. The monastery is located in the city center, just a 10-minute walk from the cathedral. It's open daily, though hours change throughout the year. Entry is paid and includes an online audio guide available in English. The site is also included in the Granada Cristiana combined ticket. If you enjoy majestic architecture and rich artistic heritage, this is a stop that will not disappoint. And now we climb to the top of Granada for a spectacular grand view of the city. At an altitude of 850 meters, in front of the small chapel of San Miguel Alto, you'll find the highest viewpoint in Granada, offering one of the most expansive and breathtaking panoramas of the city. The Ermita de San Miguel Alto was built in the late 17th century. Flanking it are 2 old Muslim-era defensive walls that descend the hillside, a quiet reminder of Granada's layered history. But it is the view from the Belvedere that truly steals the show. From up here, the entire city unfolds below. The Alhambra, the Albaicín, and the city center appear like a miniature model at your feet. The best time to visit is in the late afternoon or early evening, when the light bathes the rooftops and mountains in warm golden tones. There are no shops or restaurants nearby, so be sure to bring your own food and water. There is only the Fuente del Aceituno, a public fountain. To reach the viewpoint, the easiest option is the N9 bus. Get off at the Andarax 35 stop, then walk for about 10 minutes. Walking is possible too, but be prepared for a steep climb. The viewpoint is open 24 hours a day and is free. The viewpoint is a great choice for travelers with extra time in Granada, especially those in search of a quiet, off-the-beaten-path spot with a spectacular view of the city. And now for our final destination in Granada, we return to the Albaicín to visit a place beloved by travelers from all over the world. Home to one of the most breathtaking views you'll ever see. San Nicolás, Saint Nicholas, is the name of a church, a square, and the famous viewpoint that opens out in front of them, in the heart of the Albaicín. Together, they form one of the most iconic and enchanting spots in all of Granada. The Iglesia de San Nicolás was built in the 16th century over the remains of an old mosque. Its structure features a rectangular floor plan and several side chapels. Over the centuries, it has faced various misfortunes, including devastating fires. Between 2011 and 2022, it underwent an extensive restoration that not only reinforced the structure, but also introduced a striking new interior decorations. Visitors will be surprised by the contemporary iconography, particularly the bold, modern design of the vault above the altar. Admission to the church includes access to the bell tower, reached through a concrete staircase. From the top, you are treated to an expansive panorama. The Plaza de San Nicolás below, the maze of the Albaicín, the majestic Alhambra, and the rooftops of central Granada. Right outside the church is the Mirador de San Nicolás, the most celebrated viewpoint in the city, and for good reason. The view here is legendary. The Generalife Gardens, at the center, the Nasrid Palaces, and the Charles V Palace, and to the right the imposing Alcazaba Fortress. This is a view that has captivated artists and visitors for generations. The viewpoint is lively throughout the day, but it becomes particularly atmospheric at sunset when the light turns golden and the Alhambra glows with a quiet grandeur. It's common to find flamenco performers filling the air with music, and just as common to find pickpockets among the crowd, so do keep an eye on your belongings. San Nicolás is located in the Albaicín. You can reach it on foot if you are up for a walk, or take buses C31 or 32. The church is open daily with seasonal opening hours, and tickets include an online audio guide available in English. The viewpoint itself is open 24 hours and is free. Seeing the Alhambra illuminated at night from San Nicolás is an experience that lingers long after your trip ends. Whatever your plans in Granada, make time to climb up to San Nicolás. And since we've mentioned the presence of flamenco in the square, let's now take a closer look at the world of flamenco in Granada. Flamenco is more than a performance, it's a living expression of Andalusian identity. And in Granada, flamenco is inseparable from the city's history and cultural fabric. Its roots run deep in the hills of the Albaicín and Sacromonte, where for centuries Moorish, Jewish, Christian, and especially Roma communities shaped a unique artistic legacy. In the 18th and 19th centuries, the caves of Sacromonte became a cradle of flamenco as we know it today in Granada. You can see a flamenco performance in a tablao, a traditional setting found in many Andalusian cities. Or you can head to the Sacromonte neighborhood for a uniquely Granada experience inside caves carved into the hillsides. There you will witness a zambra, a flamenco style born in Granada and tied to traditional Roma celebrations. Zambra refers both to the style and to the place where it is performed. The caves are long and narrow, decorated with gleaming copper utensils. The audience sits along the walls, just inches from the performers who dance up and down the cave. The intimacy and intensity of the show make for a powerful emotional experience. Performances last around an hour. At least at the Zambra we attended, photography and video were allowed. Both male and female dancers perform, accompanied by live musicians. We have a separate video on the channel that dives deeper into flamenco shows in Spain. One thing to understand, all flamenco performances are designed for visitors. Most of the audience will be tourists, mainly foreigners, but also Spaniards from other regions. That should not discourage you, it's simply the reality of flamenco today. What truly matters is the quality of the performance. And here are 3 highly recommended venues according to local flamenco specialists. For a cave experience, Cueva del Rocío in the Sacromonte. For a more traditional setting in the Albaicín, Jardines de Zoraya, and in the city center, the Casa del Arte Flamenco. You will find links to each show in the first comment below the video. One tip: buy a ticket to attend a flamenco performance. Do not include dinner. You will save money. And let's try to save some more money now, talking about combined tickets. Throughout this video, we've mentioned several combined tickets that offer discounts on Granada's main attractions. Let's take a closer look at each of them. The first one is called Granada Cristiana, Christian Granada. This ticket includes access to the monuments now appearing on screen, all of which we've shown in the video. You can choose how many monuments you want to visit. The more you include, the better the discount, though the total savings are modest, just a few euros. We recommend buying this ticket on site rather than online, as the online version includes an obnoxious administrative fee that makes it more expensive. The ticket is valid for several days, so you don't need to visit all the monuments on the same day. The second option is the Monumentos Andalucíes Hispano-Muslim Monuments Pass. This is a single ticket that provides access to the monuments listed now on screen, all of which we've visited earlier in the video. Be aware that the Corral del Carbón is included in the list, even though it's always free to enter, with or without the ticket. So in practice, the combined ticket gives you access to 4 paid monuments. Also worth noting, if you want to visit any of these monuments individually, you will need the combined ticket. There are no separate tickets available. And do remember that on Sunday, entrance is free. As with the previous ticket, buy it on site. The ticket is valid for the day of purchase. The third option is the Dobla de Oro, a pass that includes full access to the Alhambra, including the Nasrid palaces, plus entry to a series of additional monuments now listed on screen. This ticket must be purchased online. You will choose a date and time for your Alhambra visit, specifically the Nasrid palaces, and then you will have 3 days to visit the other monuments: the day before, the day after, and the day of your Alhambra visit. If you are planning to visit the Alhambra along with some of those other sites, the Dobla de Oro is a solid choice. Finally, there's the Granada card, a comprehensive attractions pass that includes the Alhambra and many other monuments. The price changes depending on how many days it's valid for. Like with most city passes, it's important to check how many places you actually plan to visit to decide if it's worth investment. We usually recommend the Granada card as a last resort, especially when Alhambra tickets are sold out. The company that runs the card has a special ticket allocation for the Alhambra, so sometimes it's the only way to get access when regular tickets are no longer available on the official website. Now that we've explored the highlights of Granada, let's talk about how much time you should plan for your visit and what to expect from the city throughout the year. Honestly, this question keeps getting harder to answer. We've been to Granada many times now, and on our most recent visit, when we shot this video, we stayed 5 nights and still didn't get to go everywhere we wanted to go. We travel slowly these days, and we know that's a luxury not everyone has, but we can give you 2 very clear recommendations. The absolute minimum to enjoy the essentials, the Alhambra, the Albaicín, and the basics of the historic center, is 3 nights in the city, which gives you 2 full days. Anything less and you will be cutting corners. But if you can manage 5 to 7 days, you will start to feel the city in a very different way. You will have time to explore at your own pace, to sit quietly by a fountain and listen to the ever-present sound of water, and discover the local flavors without rushing from one meal to the next. That's when Granada really starts to open up. One thing we would ask: please, please, please don't treat Granada as a day trip. We get a lot of messages about coming over from Malaga, Seville, or Cordoba just for the Alhambra. And while the Alhambra is extraordinary, reducing Granada to that one visit misses the point entirely. If you are short on time, save Granada for another trip. The city will still be here, and when you do come, it will be worth the wait. Now, when should you come? You are seeing on screen a table showing average monthly data for Granada, the minimum and maximum temperatures in Celsius degrees, rainfall in millimeters, and the average time of sunrise and sunset. If we had to rule out a season, it would be summer, July and August in particular. The heat can be very intense, and we've met visitors who could not finish their visit to the Alhambra because of the high temperatures. The best seasons are spring and fall, warm days, cool evenings, and the city at its most beautiful. These are also the busiest months, though, so expect higher hotel prices and more crowds. Winter, December through February, can be cold but rarely extreme. Hotel prices tend to drop except on weekends or during holidays. And it's not exactly low season either, since Granada is a gateway to the Sierra Nevada ski resort just a short drive away. In the end, every season in Granada has its own charm. Just plan ahead, take the heat seriously if you are coming in the summer, and give the city the time it deserves. So, how do you get to Granada, and how do you move around the city? Granada is located in the region of Andalusia in southern Spain. It's the capital of one of Andalusia's 8 provinces, and while it's a must-see destination, it's not exactly central. It is far from Seville, Madrid and Barcelona. Flying is one option. Granada's airport, officially named Federico García Lorca Granada Jaén Airport, offers flights right now to the destinations you are seeing on screen. From the airport, located about 17 kilometers from the city center, you can take an ALSA bus directly into town. A faster and more comfortable option for many travelers is the Spanish high-speed train. Currently, only Renfe's AVE services reach Granada with direct trains from a number of cities. You are now seeing the fastest travel times available. There are also Avant trains from cities like Malaga and Seville, offering regional connections. Granada's train station is located to the west of the city center. You'll find taxis waiting outside, and that's our preferred way to reach central hotels. If you are traveling light and staying in the center, local bus line 4, which runs along Avenida de la Constitución, is another good option. Granada is also well served by intercity buses, particularly those run by ALSA, which connect the city with Madrid, Seville, Barcelona, and many others. Travel times for these routes are now showing on the screen. If you arrive by bus, you'll get off at Granada's main bus station, and from there, bus line 21 on Avenida de John Paul II will take you to the city center. You could also drive to Granada, but we do not recommend using a car once you are in the city. The historic center has strict restrictions on private vehicles, with many streets closed to through traffic. If your hotel is in the city center, contact them in advance to avoid fines. They can register your vehicle, so you are allowed temporary access for arrival and departure. Let's talk now about how to get around once you are in Granada. For most of your sightseeing, especially in the historic center and surrounding neighborhoods, you will be walking. Granada is a compact city, and much of its charm lies in its narrow streets, squares and viewpoints best explored on foot. That said, as you've seen throughout the video, some attractions are farther out, the Alhambra, certain areas of the Albaicín or the Sacromonte, for instance. For those places you will need transportation. You have three main options: taxi or Uber cars. Both are reliable and convenient for reaching more distant spots or avoiding steep climbs. City buses. Granada's local buses are red and come in several sizes, from articulated buses to small minibuses suited for navigating narrow streets. You can pay your fare on board with a contactless bank card, but this charges the full price per ride. If you want to save money, pick up a Credibus card available at kiosks near bus stops along Gran Via. You only need one card, even for several people. Load it with credit and you will benefit from discounted fares, including free transfers between lines. A great option for budget-conscious travelers. The good news, most of Granada bus lines you will be using stop near each other around the cathedral, making it easy to transfer from one line to another as shown on the map. And third, there's the Granada City Tour, a small road-going train on wheels that functions much like a hop-on, hop-on bus. It's run by a private company and makes a loop around many of the city's main attractions. It's not the cheapest option, but it can be convenient, especially if you want to avoid steep climbs and get an overview of the city. Granada's cuisine is far too rich to rush through. It truly deserves a video of its own. Food here is an essential part of the local identity and a big part of what makes a visit so memorable. From unique regional dishes to the city's famous tradition of offering complimentary tapas with your drink, there's a lot to savor and explore. So, rather than squeeze it into this already lengthy video, we are preparing a separate guide dedicated entirely to food and drink in Granada. It's coming very soon or may already be out depending on when you are watching this video. You'll find the link just below the video. Don't miss it if you want to experience Granada through its flavors. When it comes to accommodation in Granada, we've already published a dedicated video where we go into detail about the best areas to stay and share a variety of hotel recommendations for every budget. You will find the link to that video in the first comment below. Andalusia, the region Granada calls home, is one of our favorite places in all of Spain, rich in culture, history, landscapes, and unforgettable travel moments. If Granada has sparked your curiosity, there is so much more waiting for you in this extraordinary part of the country. On the screen now you will see a list of our videos dedicated to Andalusia. Be sure to check them out, you might just find inspiration for your next adventure.